Welcome back to the Nullified Take, where we have the TNT takes for you on Survivor 47, episode 10. I'm Jake. I'm here with Drew to talk about the episode. How you doing, Drew?
I'm doing all right, man. So stick with me with this one. I think this is the best edited season, like where everyone gets a fair shake at things in the edit since maybe like Kagayan.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to think about it for a little bit, but that doesn't sound far-fetched to me at all.
Like we know where everyone is, and we know that everyone has different alliances and everything. Like it's so great to watch.
That is by far my biggest takeaway from this episode, where I was like, right when I finished watching, which was like 30 minutes ago, I was like, I was thinking about what I was going to talk about on the podcast today. And that was the number one thing was like, thinking about that episode, I remember distinctly every single player telling us where they thought they were in the game, how they want to move forward, who they wanted to go out, regardless of who they ended up voting for, who they wanted out that round and why. And it just felt so smoothly edited. Like everything was just like came together like so well.
Yeah. And just from the jump, like we don't get much Teeny later in the episode, but like the first segment is basically dedicated to Teeny. Teeny gets an entire segment basically dedicated to just her. And then we're off to the races from there. And, if we want to just start from the beginning, we get back to camp and Genevieve and Teeny have a Hannah, Zeke, Adam moment for Millennials vs. Gen X where it's like, yeah, like just give me a second. I need a little bit of time. How did you think they handled, because in the morning we hear that, Teeny like went off on Genevieve, and that's at least not what we're shown. So what were your thoughts watching that scene?
So I will say I felt like we didn't fully understand the extent of how close Genevieve and Teeny were. I think, but that's in the past. If we're just talking about this episode, it was really compelling to watch. I love these types of scenes where people are it's just like pure, like, dude, I freaking trusted you. Like none of this, like, oh yeah, I understand it's a game, which, of course it is, but like this was real, like to Teeny, like this was real. And it reminded me a lot of what Gabe in the chat has brought up a lot over the course of this season is like, she's just Charlie Brown,
Brown.
And this felt, I imagine that this was super strong to her because I think in her mind, she's like, why would Genevieve make this move? To her, Saul was with Genevieve. And so like, I think I was just sitting there, like just understanding both sides of it. And I think that made it more compelling, especially I rewatched the episode before this one. And I saw in that episode when Teeny is talking about the rumors that Saul was going to be the target, she says to Genevieve, how do they have the numbers? Who do they have that we don't know about? Yeah. And it ends up being Genevieve. Yes. And it's like, oh man, like that's got a sting, like saying that in front of her the whole time. It was her. And so I think, my main takeaway was like, it just felt really compelling. Like it just was like the casting is delivering this season.
Absolutely. And I feel like we haven't had many, because I know one of the big complaints about the new era is people like to bitch and complain that we learn too much about people's backstories, which and we don't care about that. And it's like, well, that's crazy because I would like to know who I'm rooting for. Having said that, I think Teeny may have gotten is this the first time all season that we've gotten like an actual backstory for anyone this season?
I think outside of the premiere, I think like they gave like Sue something, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So like, I think a few people, Kyle had like a very small thing of like, oh, I grew up in foster care,
Yeah.
Like I grew up like, in poverty. but I, was able to get past that. Like small, and then Sue hates that about him.
Who hates that?
Yeah, I hate how he talks about how.
I was like, the fact that they added that in her little I won't say a monologue.
Rant.
Yeah. The fact that they made sure, I don't care if you're poor and all this other stuff. It's like, oh my God, like I thought that was a great scene. We're gonna get to that in a second. I just want to finish off on Teeny. I think that we know all of Teeny's motivations. It seems like she had, like, for the longest time, it was, let's do this whole non-male thing. It seems like that's just not going to happen because all of the targets are non-males. Genevieve wants Rachel gone eventually. Rachel wants Genevieve gone eventually. I think Caroline kind of wants both of them gone. She wants Kyle gone, but like whatever. I don't see the rest of the non-males getting together and closing out this game. I do feel like Teeny still has a long road ahead. I don't see. I mean, obviously anyone could win. It's only final 8, but like I'm starting to run into the situation of like, okay, well, who does she sit next to where she wins? What do you think would be the prime final 3 for her?
Definitely, I think Sam and Kyle probably.
Okay.
Like,
you think?
I think Kyle probably at this point. Kyle probably wins that, but I think that's her best shot.
Not against Sue?
Sue. Yeah, I wasn't even thinking. I forgot about Sue. I think, but wait, she would lose because Sue would just tell everyone how she's actually 50.
So, yeah.
We make this joke every single.
I know.
It's probably getting old.
As it gets closer to it, it's like, please don't let that happen.
Yeah.
I'd be
Watch it happen, and it just like no one cares. Like
Everyone
it was built up
stares,
this whole time. It just nothing, which is possible. But yeah, it's probably Sue and one of Kyle and Sam. Like probably Kyle, probably Sam. Actually, I think people actually have some semblance of respect for Kyle in this game.
Yeah, well, and if we want to jump to him for just like I've said this last week. I'm not on the Kyle bandwagon as far as I want him to win.
Mm-hmm.
I am on the Kyle bandwagon as far as I want him to break this record because Kyle is now putting himself in a position where, all these guys that have, because I think it's all males that have 5 immunity wins. What I feel like Kyle has over almost every one of them, and I might be mistaken, is that he has actually a pretty good to great social game. Like he's in with people. People want to work with him. He can win immunities and not win and still not go home. And I feel like we started to get semblances of strategy this episode with Kyle. So I feel like if he were somehow to break the record or tie the record and navigate the game when he's not winning immunities, and let's say he gets cut at Final 4, I think he becomes better than all these other challenge beasts that the show has had, because that's one thing that all of them lacked. I want Kyle to at least tie the record. Where are you at with Kyle now?
For sure. I want him to, because I agree with you that like this episode was the first time where I was like, okay, maybe I've been underestimating Kyle a little bit, because when he talked about, seems like kind of a basic thing, but to me it shows like, okay, you actually like understand the game. When he said like, I don't know about taking out Gabe, because if Gabe's gone, then I'm the target. Like I'm the number one target. Like right now I'm already such a big target. Gabe is kind of the only thing that's giving people pause, to going straight for me. And obviously Gabe ends up going. So that proves that like, okay, got to think of something else now. But to me, that just shows like you at least have the right thought process in this. And I think that understanding things like that is something that people take for granted. Like not everybody understands how that game works in that way. I want him to like be able to get to the end as a challenge beast and like not necessarily win, because that's just not my kind of vibe for a winner, but to be able to like make the most compelling case for a challenge beast of like, guys, I just broke the record. Like I literally just made Survivor history.
And I did other things. So
And I did other things.
Yeah. Even if you don't want, because I think Mike Holloway is the only one to do it. The only one to have the record and also win the game.
Yeah.
And even then, like Mike was fine socially, but I mean, it's worlds apart. So like, we won't dwell on that too much. But I think that if Kyle were to pull that out, and like I said, I found myself, without even realizing it during the challenge, I'm like, man, I really hope Kyle wins this. And I don't want Rachel, Genevieve, or Caroline to get voted out. And I'm still rooting for Kyle to win the immunity challenge.
Yeah.
And he does, and we get a lot of the Kyle content in the first half of the episode is Sue's vendetta against Kyle, which I thought was such a great scene of just basically every moment that Sue has said that Kyle voted. She went to the Abby Maria school for being bitter.
Oh yeah.
It's such a funny storyline because that's really all Sue's character is right now.
I know, and it's like, obviously this just happened, but for the people who have been saying that Sue can win this game, where you at? Because I think we just got the answer that like she's not thinking about this, and she just lost her number one ally too. She still has an idol, but she's thinking, Andy says it straight up, I can work with her. He just became the new Gabe, potentially. I can work with this woman because she plays emotionally, and I can harp on that. And I can lie to her, as far as we know. I think it was a lie that Kyle called her and Caroline Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't shown that, so
yeah. As far as we know, that did not happen. And then she just goes off and is like, "Oh my, Kyle! He talks about how he's poor." I
think this is the episode. Like, obviously, I don't know this for a fact, but I feel like this episode would set some type of record as far as most bleeped out words, because Rachel and Genevieve also they have they swear a fair amount, and not even just this episode and other episodes.
Kyle actually swears sometimes too.
Who?
Kyle does.
Oh, Kyle, yeah. But just in the rant, I'm pretty sure we had like 8 F-bombs. I would have to go back and watch the scene to make
Might
sure.
have been more.
But it adds to, even though most people, I feel like, no, Sue's probably not going to win, it keeps her compelling it as far as an audience of like, okay, yeah, she's not going to win, but it's going to be fun to watch her one-sided rivalry with Kyle, and not, she's not holding the fact that Kyle's this threat over him. She's not holding the fact that he's winning all these immunities. It's that he voted for her in episode whatever it was.
2?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And it's not annoying. It's not annoying me because it gives Sue something to do.
Yeah, the only thing that annoys me is that people like act like that there's more to Sue strategically or like in this game, and I just don't see it. Like I just haven't seen it this whole time. To me, she's just mad at Kyle, which is like, okay, yeah, if you want to be mad at Kyle, then go ahead. It's not fun to get your name written down, but I want to see what the payoff is on this. I want to see, like, does Kyle make it to the final 3 and Sue just goes off on him, or like poisons the jury against him, or whatever, tries to, whatever. That's like, this type of dynamic is why I would love to have the individual jury speeches back, because I would want to see Sue like scream at Kyle, and I would want to see everybody's reactions of like, is this warranted? Because I feel like everyone
did Kyle vote for you? Oh, okay, we forgot.
Yeah, like I don't know, we actually really like Kyle. Because to me it seems like everyone does really like him and thinks he's just a good guy, except for her,
except for Sue. I want to touch on this one real quick. So Sue's an emotional player. She doesn't. Well, one. I mean, me. If you win, you deserve to win. Period. Like it.
Yeah.
If you win the game, you deserve to win because we're just jabroni sitting at home. We're not out there with the people voting. If the people want to vote for who they want to vote for, that means that person deserves to win. Period. Having said that, yeah, Sue's emotional, but like I feel like we have a fair few. I won't say emotional players this season, but like I feel like emotional players can win being put in a certain situation. I feel like Teeny has shown her emotion a lot this season, and I
Yes.
feel like that could play to her strengths if she were somehow to make it to the end. Sue, I feel like if she were emotional at the end, I don't see it working out for her, but not because she's an emotional player. I think because the emotion is directed at the wrong spot. And it comes off as more angry than it does. I'm trying so hard and all my people are leaving.
Yes, definitely. You just said it. I mean, the difference is Teeny is harnessing her emotions to harness strength to keep going. Sue is like not even really in a bad spot. She's just like directing it towards one of her own allies, Anyways. Yeah, and so should we talk about the reward challenge, and the reward itself?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm glad that they did it random. I guess
Yeah.
the challenge did seem fairly hard, and what red or blue, whatever team actually won.
Yeah.
It seemed like I won't say they steamrolled it, but like no other team got any of their balls in.
Yeah.
And Gabe definitely toughed through it, but and you can tell he was frustrated. But Sam gets this lifeline. I don't remember the exact word that he used, but he gets this moment where it's like, okay, I've been on the bottom. Now I get to go talk to Rachel and Kyle about how things are going to go. And I still think that Sam has a tough hill ahead for him, but like, do you think that Sam may have found some legs with these two, and do you think that he survives one more episode?
Yeah, so I mean, I think I was I don't know if it's Rachel just is very forgiving or is realizing that Sam is kind of like she kind of has to forgive him, but Sam was able to, at least from what we can tell, do damage control with Rachel because he really freaking screwed her over, man, like really bad. I don't know if I could that easily forgive him for that because that was bad, like explicitly being told don't go blow this up and then you do. But they're working together, and I mean, we see it in the end result. If forgive me for jumping, but Gabe goes home. That's what Sam wanted. Rachel voted with him. She wanted Genevieve. Kyle. I think that. Well, yeah, it was Kyle. Yeah, it was Kyle that was there.
Yeah, Kyle throws out. Oh, Kyle throws out his name at the summit or at the sanctuary, but like the name Gabe had already been put into the ether leading into that. So like it was great that Kyle's like, yeah, I'm thinking about doing something. And like, oh, are you talking about Gabe? He's like, I sure am. Yeah. And it's another episode where I won't say the Gabe thing was telegraphed because I there was a moment there where I'm like, oh man, Genevieve might actually be boned. Same. After I saw the second vote, but I'm like, okay, that's probably just Gabe and Sue. So if we see a third one, she's done.
Yeah.
But I feel like we knew Gabe's name all episode, and it still led for great television, knowing full well it's probably going to be him or Genevieve.
Yeah, because I think that we see, as we mentioned before, everybody gives their view on it and how it may benefit them. And so we can see, like, it's very easy to see, like, who got their way and who didn't. Like, this to me felt like this was a merge episode. Like, this is, like, quintessential, like, what I expect from a merge episode. Everybody's really involved, making big moves. Big players are going out, going after each other, Sam can't go to the end with Rachel. They have the same story, becoming underdog, but Rachel has more friends at the game. I think I agree. What do you think?
No, yeah, I feel like if Rachel gets to the end and she's sitting next to damn near anyone except for maybe Genevieve, she probably wins because people clocked her as the threat very early in the merge. And if she's clocked as a threat and is not, and not antagonizing people and has helped out people and then sent them on their way, I feel like that's a very, I don't feel like people are going to be overly angry at her. Sierra probably votes for Sam. But I don't necessarily feel like,
I don't know. I could see Sierra voting for Rachel over Sam.
because I guess Rachel wasn't involved in her vote out because she couldn't vote, right?
Yeah, and she wouldn't have voted for her anyways. She was voting.
Oh yeah, she wouldn't vote for. Yeah,
she was going to vote for. I think they went after Gabe that episode. Yeah.
And so I mean, to answer the question, I do feel like, yeah, Sam can't go to the end with Rachel because Rachel would win.
Yeah,
just from what we are seeing. And I don't know how we segue that into what's Genevieve doing this episode, because what Genevieve is doing this episode is finally getting clocked. This episode is the beginning of the, oh man, okay, we were all wrong in the game about Genevieve. Us that have been watching, we've known since episode 3.
Yes. And I was wrong on the last podcast because I was thinking that she got away with this. She did not get away with this.
She did not get away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it didn't help that when she got back, she basically made it known that it was her that did it.
Yeah.
And I don't remember who had the next confessional where they're like, yeah, we all know that Genevieve was responsible for it. And
yeah,
it's like, oh no, like that's immediate. And so now Rachel, as the person that everyone, she's a threat. Now she can say, oh, well, no, actually she is. And now she can go say, oh, now who told her at the well, Genevieve thinks that you need to go?
Andy, I think.
Okay. Yeah. We'll get to Andy because now that Rachel has another, either a shield or a rival, so everyone is basically shields for each other because you have Kyle, the physical threat. You've got Genevieve and Rachel as the social strategic threats. No one's looking at Andy, even though Andy has his hands in a lot of baskets. I feel like people are kind of bringing Teenie as a number, but they should probably catch on to the fact that Teenie is sending a lot of friends to the jury. Genevieve getting clocked is very scary, but also she got a lot of screen time this episode, and we got her opinions on a lot of things that I don't think we needed to hear, which continues to push the narrative that I think that she's probably going to win.
Yeah, I could see it, but I could also see that this is she's just going to get taken out at some point. Like, she made herself known. She's out there, and it's just going to happen eventually. It's just right now they decided taking out one of the Tukus was more important. I don't think that I'm not saying that Genevieve has no chance. She definitely does. But to me, I think I'm a little less convinced than last episode about her chances because I really was banking on her not being clocked as soon as this. This is pretty early to be clocked, and it means that her road ahead is a lot tougher. And I think that Rachel is now, even Andy, honestly, is Andy might be the new Genevieve. Is that crazy? He maybe not the new Genevieve, but like, I'm impressed with Andy. Like you said, he's got his hands in a lot of baskets, and he is in a lot of people's ears. He even was talking to Sue, like I was talking about earlier. Like, that could potentially be something because Sue is going to be just reaching out for a lifeline after this because she's going to realize, oh shit, Caroline even voted for Gabe. I don't know how that's going to play out. I have a feeling she's not going to be happy, as we saw from with her and Kyle. There's more.
Caroline didn't vote for her, so she'll always second on the shit list.
True. Yeah, it's not quite the same, but I feel like Andy could be somebody for Sue. He's already just completely like made good with Rachel and Sam. He screwed them over. Now they're completely working with him like nothing happened. You know, he's working with Genevieve still. Like I am very impressed with Andy. I think I'm just high on Andy, higher
Yeah.
than a lot of people. I
I know the fact that people still hate Andy this late in the season is wild to me.
Dude, it's crazy. And as Daryl is saying in the chat, Andy has played a good game, one of the best bounce back games I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
For sure. That and like Aubrey and like Kaorong, like it's up there with
Luke
that. You know,
Wilson.
we'll see we'll see where he lands. You know, I don't know if I'm convinced he's gonna win, but this is like the first time where I'm like could totally see it happening. Like before I was like, I think he's good, but is anyone else going to be able to see that? I think this is the first time where like he has a very clear like case to make to the
Yeah,
jury.
absolutely. And I want to get to this. Does anyone really think Gabe will be back? I didn't think he played that good of a game. Neither did Kimmy Kappenberg, and they brought her back. Neither did Jeff Varner, and they brought him back twice. Like, I don't feel like gameplay necessarily matters. I feel like character wise, and even character wise. So I do have a feeling that 47 is going to end up being like Cagayan, Australian Outback, Borneo, even as far as like this season's going to have a lot of people return. And, if I were to make a list of 8, Gabe would be on that list. If I were to make a list of 5, Gabe might be on that list. Anything less, Gabe's probably not on that list. But like that's not a knock on Gabe. It's just more of this season was so stacked with characters pre-merge and merge that I feel like Gabe could definitely be back. I feel like when he said it the first time, I thought it was just like a one-off comment. In fact, he said it in his final words. It's like, oh, okay, cool, all right. So it'd be crazy if Survivor didn't bring him back at that point because he's going to, as someone in the comments said, he's always going to be known as the "I'll be back" guy. Yeah, if you have
They
to bring
have
someone
to.
back whose final words are "I'll be back," like you have to bring him back, right?
Yeah. He just checkmated them. Like, hey, I just said it. Like, what are you going to do now? You know? And I think that's interesting. I've never seen anyone like talk about future seasons in a season. Like I don't know if I've ever seen that before. It's a little meta, you know? And this has been a thing with Gabe all season where I think his very first confessional, he says, I want to be a Survivor legend. I want to become a Survivor legend. I want to put my face on the Mount Rushmore. He didn't do that, you know.
Not
Nobody's saying that. But to me, like he's on like I'm sorry, he's on season 50.
You
Like
think he's going to be the representative?
I am like 90% sure he's going to be on
Okay.
season 50 because like we talk about this. They subtitled it. They subtitled
did.
when he said, I'll be back. Like, guys, they're in the process right now of casting. Like, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. Like, unless somehow this gets brought up at like the reunion or sorry, final tribal council in some way, or like it becomes like a theme with someone else within the season, because that's the only thing I can think of when they subtitle things. It's important.
It's important.
It's important. So but how is that going to relate to the rest of the season? I don't know. So to me, this means he's on 50. I would be shocked. That's all I'm saying.
So, and I guess go back to the first episode. Do you think that people were playing for Survivor 50 this season?
You know,
I know, like we're going to talk about this episode 1, but like now we're episode 10, and
yeah,
I think that's confirmation. That is all the confirmation we need.
yeah. I mean, he might say he wasn't, but I'd be kind of shocked if he wasn't.
Yeah.
And like, you know what? Go for it, man. Go for it. Like, by all means, and I feel like usually that kind of thing annoys people because it means that they're not really trying to win in the first season. They're just trying to make themselves stand out enough to make it on another season. No, I feel like he still tried to win. He was still playing to win. I don't think he did was doing things on purpose that he knew wasn't going to help him, but would help him get on another season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't get
sabotaging his game for his character. He just made sure they were basically at the same level.
Yeah.
His character and his gameplay were at the same level.
Yeah.
Have they filmed 50? No, they film it next summer. So I would assume that the cast will get leaked probably around April or May. I would say that you would start seeing people stop posting on Twitter around April, May, but considering there's a mass exodus from Twitter anyway, you might see them, you have to go on any other website to figure out if they've actually left or not. Andy, and we can talk about Andy briefly because we have kind of touched on every other person's conversation. Andy, once again, and it's wild going online and also talking to friends and realizing that people are still out on Andy because yes, he's a fun anti-hero. Oh, he's an anti-hero. Yes, he had that moment in episode 1, which we both think was completely real. I don't understand where the Andy hatred continues to come from now.
I think you and I'm not going to be able to give you a good answer to that because I also don't get it. I genuinely really like Andy. Like, this was good casting. Andy was good casting. I really like him on the season. He is a bit of a goof. Like, he's like just a little like I feel like the way he wants to play is very like strong, like no, very serious, but like he is a little bit of a goofy guy, but that's fine,
Fine.
like, and like he really has not done anything even remotely recently that should warrant any sort of dislike. That's just my opinion. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I
go.
Sorry, and I would say, like, I saw somebody in the comments saying, Andy is on 50 unless Jeff is angry he helped vote out the celebrity John Lovett. I honestly, I know I just said, like, I feel like Gabe is definitely on 50. Of everyone here, I think Andy probably deserves to be on 50 the most, or not deserve, but like, in my opinion, should. If anyone from this season should be on 50, I think he should. If not him, probably Genevieve, maybe Teeny. I like Teeny a lot. I think she's, I know she hasn't played like the greatest game ever, but she's a good character. So yeah, but it's crazy that we're talking about 50 now, and like they're basically like just referencing it on the show. Like, that's crazy. Like, we still got 2 more seasons after this one until 50. Like, they're hyping it up all the way now. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I which means I feel like that by the time we get to 49 is just going to be full of 50 references. It has to be. 49 is going to be full of 50 references and full of people that are outwardly and saying in their confessionals, I'm trying to do this in 3 weeks when they go film. Like, when they come out here to film again, I need to be out there for that. So let me say all this crazy stuff in my confessional. Let me do this so that they bring me back in a few weeks. I agree with you, though. I think that Andy would probably, like, for me, that's why I was shocked when he said Gabe. I'm like, wow, I feel like Andy would be that person. If they were to bring back one person, not who I would want, I just feel like that's what Survivor would bring back. I feel like that Andy would be the person that, just like I feel like I don't like Jonathan from 42, but I feel like he's definitely coming back at some point because we've got to bring back Jonathan, even though he won like 2 immunities.
He was just so popular with the broad Survivor audience.
The Facebook moms.
Yeah.
The Facebook moms. All right, so we get to the big moment of the pre-tribal part of the episode where the cast just gives Gigi's the shot in the dark. Yeah, we're good. See ya. We're good. We don't have to do it. What did you think? Do you think that we're going to get shot in the dark anymore now? Now that they know, oh yeah, we can just get rid of our shot in the dark. That's cool. We'll just do that.
Dude, I was thinking about that. Like, I couldn't even pay attention to the immunity challenge really because of that. Like, I was just thinking about what the implications of this were going to be, because the last time that we saw like people just kind of say fuck it to an event, they got rid of it for 15 seasons, which is the auction. They kind of just said, fuck it, we don't really care about these other items. We're just saving it for the advantage. And they also did it to the amulet too this season.
Oh yeah, yep.
So that's I would bet you that production is not happy about either of these things. I think Jeff tried to play it off of like, wow, what a great Survivor moment. Everybody is like so desperate to get rice or whatever because they're starving that they're willing to give up such a powerful tool in the game. And I thought it was pretty cool to see the implications of like Genevieve and Gabe being like, well, actually more so just Genevieve being like, shit, like I really regret doing that, and it made it where like Genevieve and Gabe were literally just telling each other like, it's one of us, isn't it? Like they were being told like it's you or Gabe. Genevieve was told it's you or Gabe, and like that wouldn't have happened before with the shot in the darks in the game. So my gut feeling is that it's not gone. I think it's going to come back.
At least for 48.
Yeah, and we'll see, because shot in the dark, I feel like, has actually become more important as time has gone on, because I think it was only played once in 41. Sydney, I think, was the only person to play theirs, and it actually ended up screwing them over, because if they would have voted, then it would have gone to a tie. And then 42, quite a few people played it, and then like 2 seasons ago, we got the first successful one, and it was like a great moment, So I don't think they're gonna give up on it this quickly. What do you think?
I had the same thought as you, where it's like, oh man, last time they gamed the game like this, they got rid of the auction when they tried to game it in San Juan del Sur with the with touchy subjects.
Yes,
we never saw that challenge again, because it's like, all right, well,
yeah.
I feel like at least it'll be on 48. I do feel like production kind of handcuffed themselves, because no, we're doing four people drop off. It's like, okay, these people are going to try to negotiate. And the fact that you're already saying, okay, no, it's four people have to drop, or it's nothing. It's like, okay, they're going to find another way to get that rice where they also have to compete.
Yeah.
And it shows, just similar to the amulet, it shows how much this cast just does not care about the extra twists that have been put on them. I mean, we saw how Caroline reacted last week with, these groups of people are going to lose their vote. They don't want this. They just want to go out and play. They don't want to have unnecessary things put on them. And so, even when Jeff is trying to like really nail it home, Gabe, it looks like Gabe convinced you, Sam. How does that make you feel? It's like, okay, I get what you're doing. I get it. I think that the 49 cast will probably try to do the exact same thing. I don't see it coming back after 50. We'll put it like that. I don't see it coming back after 50.
Yeah, and kind of a shame, because I'm really not that down on the shot in the dark.
Oh, like, I love the shot in the dark.
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of people do, just because those types of fans are the ones that just kind of in general want less advantages in the game, and just sort of it has the stink of the new era on it. Yeah. And people generally don't like the new era. You and I don't quite feel that way, as we've talked about. And we saw just like 2 episodes ago, Rachel like using the shot in the dark in a very clever way of playing it first before her idol to like read people's reactions, and then said, "Oh, okay, I don't have to play my idol, so I'm good." Like that's clever. No one has done that. No one has thought of that. She did. So to give up on it this quickly would suck. But again, as we just mentioned, it wouldn't surprise me given Survivor's, reactions to when people like kind of spit in the face of something.
Yeah. And I did enjoy the fact that they were able to big brain it though, in the moment of like,
yeah,
okay, Jeff's not budging on this. Let's just give this up. And I don't know how I forgot, but I totally forgot that Rachel had already played hers until she stood there and says, "Oh, I already played mine." Yeah.
Great for her. She didn't have to do anything.
So we get to the immunity challenge. Once again, we talked about it already. Kyle wins. It's down to Kyle and Sue.
Mm-hmm.
And Kyle wins immunity number 4. And we get back to camp, and it's basically the same thing that we've seen all episode. It's going to be Genevieve or Gabe. This is the only names that we've really heard all episode. These are who it's going to be. Who in your head should be given the most credit, I guess, just based off of what we've seen, to how things were swayed to the Gabe way?
Probably. Is it Sam? I mean, I'm not fully sure because I think that things like Rachel wanted Genevieve and Sam wanted Gabe, and I guess Kyle also did, but man, actually, wow, I'm realizing that like really was like this is not a repeat of last episode, like at all. Genevieve very clearly just ran that shit. Like she said it was Saul. Obviously things got really messy, but like from the beginning, it was Genevieve. This one, like you could credit even to like Caroline. Like she, like who knows if they were fully sold on the plan until she came in and said, "Hey, I'm actually willing to go for Gabe. Like I've kind of just had an epiphany, whatever." And that sparked up them saying, "Okay, wait, we can do it now." Like she just, even though like she didn't come up with the plan per se, she like kind of was the last little push to get them through. But I don't know for sure. But yeah, I would say Gata in general, Andy, and Sam, honestly. Like I think I'm gonna give some credit to Sam because I think that they and Genevieve for saying one of Tuku needs to go.
Yes.
Kind of a lot of people are getting credit. I know I didn't really
answer I mean
very well, but like
I don't think there was a wrong answer to it. Like almost everyone in the episode unprompted said Gabe's name. Almost everyone. So like everyone had the idea in their head to begin with. From what we're shown, it looks like everyone was thinking. It didn't look like people were like, "What if we do this? Oh, what about Gabe? Oh yeah, I can do Gabe." It's like, "Hey, Kyle, what do you think?" "Well, I'm thinking about this person." "Oh, are you talking about Gabe?" "I sure am." Yeah. And the only time that I felt like when Rachel started saying, "No, Genevieve needs to go," and then when her voting confessional, where we're not shown, but she says basically the same wording, uses the same wording that she used earlier in the episode about Genevieve. I'm like, oh God, like they're actually going to pull this off. Yeah. And once again, Genevieve, she escapes. Gabe goes home with the majority of the votes. Did it seem that simple when you were watching the tribal, or did you think that something funky was going to happen?
No, I really thought it could have been more split. I was thinking like, could this be a 5-4 vote? Because there was 9 of them, right?
Everyone had their vote. Everyone had their vote this episode.
But that, I guess, now that I'm thinking about it, it would have made more sense as a 5-4 vote if it was Genevieve going. But with Gabe, it's like everyone was talking about Gabe, obviously, except for Sue. So it makes sense that it was a 7-2 vote, that it was only Sue left out of it, and Gabe, obviously. Um, I think, like, one thing about me, I think I'm pretty easily manipulated by the editors in the moment of tribal councils. Like, I was really, until Genevieve, like, I feel like they put too much emphasis on Genevieve being like, it's me. It's gonna be me. I think once, like, the second time she said that, I was like, wait, no, they're like, I got like taken out of the spell. Wait, no, you're trying to trick me right now. It's not actually gonna be Genevieve. But until they actually went up and voted, I was like, oh, it could be anything. It could be any combination of votes. I don't know. But looking back, it makes sense the way it shook out.
Yeah, and now we're at a point. So we're at final eight. We're headed into final eight. Once again, and we talked about this at the beginning of the episode. We know who everyone is working with. We know who almost everyone's targets are. We know all the beef that people have with each other. We know who's willing to forgive and who's not willing to forgive. With Rachel being probably ahead of everybody else as far as willing to forgive, because she's been screwed by Andy, Sam. Oh, wait, just Andy and Sam? Maybe just Andy and Sam. It's just Andy and Sam.
Yeah, but like Sam, like doubly so.
Yep, yeah, true. We know that now the only, like, the people that have been clocked as threats are Rachel, Kyle, and Genevieve. And we know that Caroline knows basically everything that's going on always, and is the only person who has been shown to be threatening that hasn't been clocked. Oh no, Caroline and Andy have been shown to be threatening, but clocked as threats. We've got, I saw they're splitting the finale into 2 episodes, which I think is really cool. I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know, because, with 8, I feel like so usually the finale is final 5 on.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to be final 6 and on? Oh, no, math-wise, we would have... Is there an episode next Thursday? Or Wednesday?
Next Wednesday? Yeah, I believe so. I don't think they skip any weeks anymore. They used to like do a recap.
Yeah,
around Thanksgiving. Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out what number they would start the finale, since it's a 2-part episode. Like,
yeah.
Are they?
What week? Do you know what day is the finale? Part 1 or part 2?
Oh, I know the finale is the 18th, 17th. Hold on, let me.
Like the one with where they like
where the winners announced.
Okay,
is
so
the 18th. So the 11th would be finale part 1. So we've got 2 episodes. We've got 2 episodes between us now and finale part 1.
So it's got to be the final 6. It's probably going to be like final 6 and final 5 in the same episode, and then final 4 and the winner.
Final 2? Are we going to get final 2? Because
no, that would have been leaked. That would have been leaked already.
True, but like if we start finale part 2 with a final 4, we're only doing immunity challenge, fire making, final tribal.
Maybe we're getting what is it when they like go through each person like with their torch and like
rites of passage.
No, I'm joking. I don't think they would bring that back, but like something to fill the time, you know what I mean? Very interesting.
Honestly, what they could do is, so like last year, I think 46, they slowly started doing individual questions again.
Yes, but like not in the same way, but like yes, you're right.
So maybe they're going to continue to go down that path, which means that since everyone's going to get a chance to talk, that might drag out the final tribal segment of the episode a little bit more.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
speculation.
yeah. That could be. Just yeah, let him go up there and grill them for a little bit longer, I guess. Um, uh, this is the first time. Well, actually, I know in Australian Outback, the finale was just the final
Forever.
three.
And it sucked. That
Yeah,
finale is the worst. It's
it's
so
pretty
bad
bad.
and takes
It's pretty bad.
forever. Uh,
It's but that's making me think like could that happen again? Like something where they like really drag it out, or I don't know. Like we're really just gonna have to see.
yeah,
And
yeah,
like
we
maybe
got
we'll
2
just get
weeks.
maybe we'll get more information coming soon. But
I think Genevieve. Yeah, I don't think that Genevieve's going next episode because I think she's going to win. Because I think she's going to win. I'm still sticking with Rachel as my actual winner pick, but I think Genevieve. I don't know, man. I just every week it just in my head it becomes so clear, and it's going to be crazy when she eventually gets sniped. But
who who do you think that there's anybody that Genevieve would lose to in the end?
no, I mean
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Maybe Rachel, maybe
Even
Caroline.
then,
That's why I keep saying the three of them because I think Caroline would have the hardest battle sitting next to both of them. But I think that Caroline sitting next to anyone else that's not them has a stronger chance at winning. I feel like Rachel and Genevieve sit next to anyone. They're probably the only two people catching votes. And if Genevieve sits next to Sue and one else, she sweeps. And it's, yeah. If it's a final two, it's going to be Caroline and Teeny. That wouldn't be like, that's not crazy.
no.
That's not crazy.
Yeah, I think. What do you think? I think that is Teeny going to be a losing fight? Well, did we talk about this last episode? To me, it's this is a very this is a redux of Jake from
State Farm. I'm just fine.
no from 45. No, not Jake from the Nullified Take either. Jake from 45, where it's Charlie Brown, and it's also like, but we still got these all these confessionals where it's like, okay, like I am just gonna keep pushing, like I keep getting pushed down, I'm just gonna keep getting back up, and it like kind of reads as like a winner story of like, oh, he just never gives up. He's gonna get to the end, and he's gonna be like, I never gave up, and they're gonna give him the money. No, it's like that's just not enough. You got to be in the votes. You got to be in. Yeah, you can't just be resilient. You have to actually. And this is kind of similar where like Jake voted with the majority a couple times. He was in on votes. Didn't really drive any of them, but it kind of reminds me of Teeny.
Who are your top three possible winners so far? I already named mine, but
I think mine's the same: Genevieve, Caroline, and Rachel. I'd be very shocked if it wasn't one of those three. Honestly, I'm starting to get to the point where I would be pretty shocked if it was Caroline. I think I'm really dialing in on just Genevieve and Rachel, and I don't think I was this way last season. And this doesn't mean that I think that the show is edited poorly or like that it's not interesting. But yeah, I think it's kind of down to those two at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'd be pretty surprised.
The trailer for next episode, just a bunch of red herrings as always. Oh, I think Rachel's got something up her sleeve. I'm like, oh, they want us to think the idol. It's not what it is. I need to stop watching that because it's just going to be me just saying, oh, no, none of it's real and I don't care. So
sometimes they are real.
Sometimes it is real. I'm still waiting for Andy and Sam to fight each other, and that's probably never going to happen. So,
now they're like best buddies again.
Yeah, it wasn't even referenced that.
No, not really.
That they were opposing before. They were just casually.
The only thing was that Sam. There was that like they did the immunity challenge as duos, and that's when Gabe beats Kyle in the end. Sam does mention like, I'm so pissed at Andy. I want to get to the end of the challenge with him, and I want to beat him because they were partners in that, and that never happened. So it was just like nothing. Shows Andy's able to win him back.
I mean, he's so sweet. Any final thoughts on the episode? Wow, that went by very fast.
It did, yeah. I think I'm still just excited to see every episode. I'm just like, where is this going to go? And like, even though I feel like I'm dialed in on 2 possible winners, that the way that they could win. First of all, it might not even be one of those 2. For all I know, I've been wrong many times before. But even if I am right about that, how they get there could be any way. So I'm just really excited to see the rest of the season, and especially with how are they going to handle this 2-part finale thing.
Yeah, I think Andy goes next. If Andy goes next episode, then I feel like that further pushes the narrative that one of the 2 of them are going to win. Because he's
kind of the only thing stopping him right now.
Yes. Yeah. Besides them going after each other. Yes.
Yeah.
I was sitting there watching it, and I thought to myself, first, the episodes are going by, even though they're an hour and a half, they're going by so fast, to me at least, that, and I know that I'm jumping the gun by 2 years, that I'm really excited for my next marathon, because even though 45 and 46 were an hour and a half, and I enjoyed both those seasons, it was kind of a struggle to get through them in a day, just because, I could watch 47 right after it's done and just binge watch that in a day and probably not get tired of it, because I haven't been tired of it so far this season. I've looked forward to watching every episode, and I think that's a testament to how great the season has been.
Yeah, I wait to watch the episode until right before you and I hop on here. And it's been hard these past couple episodes. Like, I'm just like, oh, should I just watch it now? I've got an hour or 2. I could just watch it right now. And I may do that next episode. I might watch it and then just rewatch it right before we do this. I didn't feel that way. Not saying that 46 was bad, but like, I didn't feel that way with 46 as much. I had because I'm pretty busy, so I just don't have as much time anyways until the weekend. But yeah, it's been really tough to like, I just want to see what happens.
Okay, we have more notice when the lives will be. Yes, it is my fault normally.
Also been my fault many times.
It is, life, gets busy. We plan to do it Friday at 9, and then things happen that we can't do it Friday at 9. Just look for Friday at 9 first. And what I will do is, if we don't end up doing it Friday at 9, I will make sure there's at least a 24-hour thing so that people know when it's supposed to happen. And I do apologize for that. Life got way busy this more than I thought in the last few months. So, but we're going to be, at least for the last few episodes. Next week is Thanksgiving in the States. I'm not going anywhere for Thanksgiving, so then I have no plans. So I'll be in my apartment for all of it. So I will be able to do Friday, next Friday. That's all I got, man.
Yep. All right. Grab your torches, guys. Head back to camp. We'll see you next week.